Om Yo Brahmanam Vidadati Purvam Yo Vai Vedanscha Prahinoti Tasmai Tamha Devamatma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukshurvai Sharanamam Prapadye. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamshashibhyo Mahadhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Sarvopaplavarahitaha Prajnanakanaha Pratyagartho Brahmaivahamasmi Brahmaivahamasmi. Vedantartha Vibhasakaya Gurave Shantaya Sannyasine Nanavadi Nagendra Sanghapavaye Yogindra Vandyaya Cha Mohadvanta Divakaraya Bhagavat Padabhidham Vibhrate Tasmai Bhashyakృతే Namostu Satatam Purnaya Bodhatmane. Brahmaham yat prasadena Mayi Vishwam Prakalpitam Shrimat Swayam Prakashakhyam Pranavami Jagatan Gurum Yah Paramatma Jagat Srishtva Pravivesha Punaswayam Tan Krishnam Pratyagatmanam Vande Gopi Manoharam Yasya prasadadahamadvayatma Vishwam samastam mayi kalpitancha Tan sarvalokaikagurum sadashri Swayam prakasham gurumanatosmi Gurunam charanam bhojam Pranipatya nirantaram Tatkripalyeshatodvaita Chinta kaustumamarbhe. We have understood that though ignorance has no cause, yet ignorance can be said as to be the cause of ignorance. This is a very strange thing. Though ignorance is beginningless, causeless, yet from one angle we can say ignorance is the cause of ignorance. But that ignorance which is the cause of the ignorance, which is the effect, now is the Mula Avidya, is the root causal ignorance. And this was proven to you through the example of snake and rope. Knowing the rope as snake is not knowing the rope as rope. And only knowing the rope as rope is knowledge. Anything other than that is going to be ignorance, because in that case you still are not knowing the rope. Even if you know the rope as snake, you are still not knowing the rope, and therefore it is ignorance. And so now the ignorance which has caused this projection that this is a snake, this particular experience that this is a snake, we are going to say there are these two categories. One is the Karana Jnanam or Karana Vidya, and there is Karya Avidya. Hadvividha. Now, with this, we are going to look at Avidya, which is Karya Avidya. Now you understand the word Karyam. Karyam means the effect. Karya Avidya means the ignorance which is an effect. But when we are saying an effect, it does not mean that something else is the cause. Nothing can cause ignorance. But by the virtue of by ignorance itself, ignorance becomes its own cause over here. Okay. So this is one prakriya, this is one way of understanding it. Now, he says this Karya Avidya is again fourfold. To understand something which is ephemeral, anityam, as nityam, to understand something which is dukkharupa, asukham, as sukham, to understand something which is apavitra, as pavitra, ashuchi as shuchi, and to understand that the anatma as atma is also ignorance. So this ignorance, the Karya Vidya, is fourfold. And to support this, then he brought out this particular sutra from the Yoga Sutra, Bhagavan Patanjali's work. Anitya Shati Dukhatmana Dukhanatmas Atmasu Nitya Shuchi Sukha Atmakhyatera Vidya. When you are going to give this as the definition of avidya, be very, very careful, because you are going to use definition from the Yoga Sutra 8, and this is Karya Avidya. The solution to this Karya Avidya, according to the Yoga Shastra, is Samadhi. Whereas according to us, the only way, whichever avidya that it may be, it gets destroyed only by knowledge. Okay, this is the Vedanta Siddhanta. Yet, in this sutra helps us to understand what is Karya Avidya. Okay, now talking about accepting, understanding. Actually, this understanding is not understanding. It is a form of misunderstanding. It is erroneous understanding, because that which is impermanent, temporary, ephemeral, then is seen as something which is permanent, including even the celestial world, because you will come across these various groups of religious groups of people, some of them, and each group has got their own idea of a celestial world. Okay, I am not denying that there are no celestial worlds. As long as it comes from the Shastra, it is still it means it is there. So now he will come and say there is the celestial world, and it is indeed filled with various exciting objects. Then wonderful objects, and everything over there is beautiful. But they say this is a permanent place. Do not forget, when they are saying it is permanent, it simply means relatively permanent. Now, when we are saying relatively permanent, what exactly do we mean? Let us say there is a mosquito. A mosquito may have its life for 3 days. So it is 3 days of life. According to this mosquito, there can be hundreds of generations that may come. And these generations are told, my great grandfather also saw this man. he has also sucked the blood from him. Then the great grandfather, and by that virtue, he can raise about what thousands and thousands of generations have seen this man sucked his blood, and they have all survived to become. So he says that no matter how many people, how many generations of mosquitoes come and die, he is permanent. According to the mosquito, this man is permanent. Now you see that permanency is given to this man. This is what is called as relative permanency. So nityatva. So by that virtue, even the celestial worlds, because they are there for very long time. You know, for a human life to calculate is also beyond imagination. Just as for a mosquito to really calculate how many generations it takes, because even if it is calculated, it just remains incomprehensible. Something that is incomprehensible. And so he says it is temporary. Sorry, it is permanent. Like that, even this Brahmaloka, etc., is also said to be permanent. Because there will be people who will come and say, Vaikunthalok, Golok, Kailaslok, all these are permanent. Going over there, you are permanently lodged. But over here, it is said, now look at that. On page number 84. Nanu Keyama Vidya iti yataha ah tatreti Karya Vidya vibhajate Sacha Sacha iti Chaturvidyameva Anitya iti Asukhe. Now over Sutram Vyachasthe Asyarthaha iti. Now we have already said in one facet of this Karya Vidya is to understand something which is impermanent as permanent. Okay, then now it is equivalent to saying the rope is the snake. That which is impermanent is permanent. Why is it equivalent? Because the object is not seen as it is, but it is seen, understood, experienced as something else. Okay, so here. Now on page number 84 in the commentary section. Nanu Ashoka Mahimam Tasmin Vasati Shashwati Samaha Ityadi Shrutya Brahmalokasya Nityatva Avagamat Katham Anityatvam. Sir, now there are certain Shrutis which say that the person who goes to Brahmalok lives over there forever. Okay. Vasati Shashwati Samaha Iti Ityadi Shrutya Brahmalokasya Nityatva Avagamat. Now, when it is said he lives over there forever, it means that this he has to be there forever. The place where he is also has to be forever. And therefore, now we understand from Shruti like this that Brahmaloka is what? Permanent. Nityatva Avagamat. So we have understood Brahmaloka as Nityam. Therefore, what will be the question? The question is, when Shrutis like this are talking about Brahmaloka as something that is permanent, how come you are saying Brahmaloka is impermanent? That this celestial world is impermanent. How are you saying that? So now the Purva Paksha is going to keep his arguments. He is going to forward his arguments. So now you first of all understand the arguments which are being given by the Purva Paksha are to prove that Brahmaloka or some celestial world is permanent. Okay. What is it that we have said? No matter whether it is a celestial world or a mortal world, everything over here is impermanent. The only thing which can be said as to be untouched, uncorrupted by time is Atma, this Brahman, and therefore everything else is impermanent other than Atma. Katham anityatvam. So now he is going to present his case and he is going to prove that yes, certain celestial world, now he is going to use the celestial word Brahmaloka, is permanent. Nachatasya karma sadhyatvena laukika krishyadi phalavad antavattu phalam tesham ityadi smritya tad yatheha karmachito loka kshiyate evamevamutra punyachito lokaha kshiyate ityadi shrutya cha anityatva avagamyate iti vachyam. Now, in this world, do we don't see that anything which has come to us as a result of karma is impermanent, will one day be gone. Now, the salary that you have earned is definitely the result, consequence of the karma that you have performed for the whole month or the whole week. And as a result, you are enjoying that salary or the income. But will this income be forever? So no, you will have to say, no, it is bound to get finished. So like that, we do understand that anything which is a consequence of the karma is also time bound. Whether the consequence is something which you get over here in this life or in other life after this body is shed. So whether it is this mortal world, objects of this mortal world and the mortal world itself, or the celestial world, everything is impermanent. Why? Karma sadhyatvena. And so iti anityatvam avagamyate iti navacham. Don't say that since whatever is karma sadhya, look at that whole argument. Understand this, because there is a little, we are going to go into an intricacy. Okay, so be very alert. He is saying whatever is karma sadhya, whatever is attained as a result of karma. So karma is the cause, the karma phala is the result. Okay. So whatever comes as the karma phalam, what is its quality? That it is by that virtue, it is how? Time bound. And time bound means it is bound by time. Thus it means it is impermanent. But he says, the Purva Paksha says, you cannot forward this argument of the karma sadhyatva for Brahmaloka, for this celestial world. Why? Upasana vidhehe apramanya prasangat. Because this is just not karma, it is upasana. What is it? It is the result of upasana. And if upasana is also going to give impermanent result, then what is the point of doing the upasana? What is the point? Upasana vidhehe apramanya prasangat. It will lead to what? Apramanya prasanga of the upasana vidhi. The injunction which shows, do this upasana. यथा स्वर्गादौ अनित्यत्व दोष दर्शनेन स्वर्ग तत्साधनेच्छा निवृत्ति निरोधेन प्रवृत्ति निरोधेन नित्यफलोद्देशेन तत्साधने अप्रवृत्तिः एवं ब्रह्मलोकादौ अनित्यत्व दोष दर्शनेन तदुद्देश्येन तत्साधनानुष्ठाने प्रवृत्ति निरोधात् सर्वेषाम् अन्यत्र प्रवृत्ति प्रसक्त्या उपासना विधायी शास्त्र प्रामाण्यं प्रसज्येत. Now, this is actually a long line, but to just condense it and to say, he says, like this Swarga. Now, this Swarga is heaven. Now, you have to understand that there is a little difference between just heaven and the celestial world. Okay? The heaven is a result of the karma, whereas the celestial worlds are the result of upasana. Karma and upasana together take you to the celestial world. He says, now by showing how impermanent this heaven, etc., is. What is impermanent? Svargaloka. And what does he want to prove is permanent? Brahmaloka. Let these categories be clear. Svargaloka and Brahmaloka. He admits that this Svargaloka is impermanent, but he wants to prove that this Brahmaloka is permanent. And what is it that the Vedanta wants to say? That everything, whether it is Svargaloka, whether it is Brahmaloka, or the world of mortals, all this is impermanent. Then chasing to make it permanent, like somebody wants himself to be always popular. Is it possible? People are going to replace you with another one. So these are the film stars, and that's why they say the star of the yesteryears. Now no longer a star. He can be invited as a guest, felicitated, awarded for his contribution to the entertainment industry. But his fame is already gone. Now this fellow may struggle to keep himself there, competing with the young boys and girls. And yet, now he's offered the roles of, the boss, but the hero is somebody else. Now the young man is, that protagonist is going to be a different one. So what happens is that the person now wants to make his fame permanent. Or even you will see people who come for yoga also. They also come with an intention that, we should retain our stamina as we were young. Hey, then what is it that you have understood over growing years? That we want to keep it always like that. Is it possible? Is it possible? There was this one yoga teacher who was 90 years, and he used to jump around and do things like some 90-year-old boy. And then he said, this is the result of what the yoga that he is doing. And then eventually he got hospitalized and died the death of an old man only. Did not die in an accident riding a bike or something, like a young man doing hiking or mountaineering or some adventure sport or something. He died just the same way. The body deteriorated. And now his claim that this is all happening because of it is simply because there is certain bodies are hyper. And perhaps that was the construct of his body. Now, I am not into that, but all that we need to understand is everything here is impermanent. Now, understanding that even Svargaloka is impermanent, what will happen? Now the person will turn away from the Svargaloka and even the sadhanam for Svargaloka. So Svargaloka is the phalam, the yajnanushtanas, etc. is the sadhanam. So he turns away from this because he does not want Svarga. So he's now, this fellow, the Purva Paksha is saying, if you are going to say that Brahmaloka is also impermanent, then a person will turn away from the result and also will reject the vidhi, the injunction. Now, in rejecting that injunction, the Shastra will become redundant. Apramanya prasanga. Shastra will become useless, purposeless. And therefore, he says, we have to admit Brahmaloka is permanent. That is what he has put forth. Evam Brahmalokadau Anityatva Dosha Darshanena Taduddeshyena Tat Sadhananusthane Pravrutti Nirodhat Sarvesham Anyatra Pravrutti Prasaktya Upasana Vidhayi Shastra Apramanyam Prasajyeta Shastrasya Apramanyam Prasajyeta Shastra Apramanyam means Shastrasya Apramanyam Prasajyeta. Let it be. And he says, no, Natadishtam. That is not what is wanted. Brahmalokatirikta nityapale manabhava. Because there is anything other than Brahmaloka which can be said as to be permanent. We have no other thing which can be said as to be permanent because there is no pramanam. Manabhava. Anyatrapi dosha darshanena pravrutti nirodhat sandihanaha sarvopi loko natha prapnuyat moksha shastram sarvam anarthakam prasajyeta ataha kevala karma sadhyasya nityatvepi yathokta shastra pramanyat jnana karma samuchaya sadhyasya brahmalokasya nityatvam abhyupadantam. So, this is all. If I have to go through one word here, it would be interesting, but for some people, and some people may even lose the track of what exactly. So I'm just going to give you a gist. Now he says, yes, it is admitted that whatever is karma sadhyam, whatever is karma sadhyam is anityam. So that Swargaloka, etc., which is karma sadhyam, Pitraloka, Swargaloka, how is this all? Karma sadhyam. This is impermanent. But Brahmaloka is not impermanent because Brahmaloka is not karma sadhyam. Brahmaloka is not karma sadhyam. Then what sadhyam is Brahmaloka? How is Brahmaloka attained? So, in order to attain Brahmaloka, it is the samuchaya of karma and upasana. Karma is karma, upasana is also called as jnanam or vidya. Okay, because it is Deva Vidya. So, two things. It is a result, that a consequence which is generated by the mixture, by the samuchaya of jnana and karma, or karma and upasana, jnanam. So it is just not karma sadhyam, but it is jnana karma samuchaya sadhyam. Got it? Use that word now. Swarga, etc. How is it? Karma sadhyam. But Brahmaloka is jnana karma samuchaya sadhyam. So can you say that it is karma sadhyam? No. It is karma. But if that karma is not accompanied by upasana, Brahmaloka will not be attained. Therefore, Brahma, in order to attain Brahmaloka, you will have to put both these things together, jnanam and karma. And this jnanam over here is Deva Vidya. And these two put together becomes the cause for Brahmaloka. And therefore, though everything, whatever is karma sadhyam is anitya, because Brahmaloka is not just karma sadhyam, But Brahmaloka is jnana karma samuchaya sadhyam, and therefore Brahmaloka is permanent. Okay? Got that whole sequence of catch it up, because it may occur elsewhere in the discussions. Brahmaloka is therefore not karma sadhyam, and therefore that argument that whatever is karma sadhyam is anityam is not applicable to Brahmaloka, and by that virtue we are going to say Brahmaloka is nityam, permanent. Evam sati, evam ch sati, shruti smriti shrutyantar virodhat itara vishaye vyakhye tasmat brahmalokasya nityatva kathanam asangatam eva, and therefore to say that Brahmaloka is anityam is asangatam, is how is not in tune with the Shastra, the logic of the Shastra. It is not in tune with the logic of the Shastra. Okay. Therefore, tasmat brahmalokasya nityatva kathanam asangatam eva. It is asangatam. It is not in line. It is not in the atra bhuma. So when this is the issue, we say like this: atra bhuma. What are we saying? Nityatva pratipadaka shrutehe arthavadatvad brahmaloko anityaha eva. Okay. First of all, what have you presented? You have presented a Shruti which says Brahmaloka is Nityam. Okay. Now that Shruti which is talking about Brahmaloka as being Nityam is a Arthavada Shruti. What is it? Arthavada. It is not Yatharthavada. It is Prashamsarthavada. Alright. Nityatva pratipadaka shrutehe arthavadatvad brahmalokaha anitya eva. What is Arthavada? Arthavada simply means it is some form of praise in order to inspire the person to undertake that particular vidhi. Okay. So when he is told that when you do this upasana, you will be living in the Brahmaloka, immersed in love of that God forever. Now this is what he wants. So he says that let me go over there. How will I go? It is through the upasana, karma upasana. You will go to Brahmaloka. Now, the Vedanti teacher of Vedanta, he says that we still are saying Brahmaloka is impermanent. Then how are you going to justify the Shruti which is talking about Brahmaloka as permanent? According to you, Mr. Vedanti, Brahmaloka can be impermanent. But that is what you mean and what you want and what you desire is all useless unless and until it is supported or your knowledge is coming from the Pramanam. The Shruti is the Pramanam, and Shruti is saying Ashoka Mahimam Tasmin Vasati Shashvati Samaham, that he lives over there, in that Brahmaloka forever. Shashvati Samaha. So here we are saying that this is only a praise. It is not something to mislead a person, but this is meant only as arthavad. Now you understand what is arthavad. For example, you tell your girlfriend or wife or your daughter or son or your son that you are the sunshine of my life. You are my sunshine. You are my sunflower or something like that. Now, does it mean that whenever his son or his daughter comes, immediately the whole room is lit up because this is the sunshine? Everything becomes bright. No. Then what is this? Is the father lying? He's not lying. By saying that you are the sunshine of my life, the purpose is to mean that you make my life interesting. He does not mean to say that here is my daughter who's what? Very shiny. No. He does not mean to say my daughter is very shiny or my son is very shiny or my wife. All that he wants to say is you make my life very interesting. Okay. Because of you, everything looks beautiful for me. And that is what he means to say. Okay. That's what he means to say. So the father is not lying. By saying so, he is only praising the daughter. So, Nityatva Pratipadaka Shrutehe Arthavad. This is called as the Prashamsa Arthavad. What is it called? Prashamsa Arthavad. A praise. It is a praise. Now, praise is offered so that some person who is the listener now is inspired to do something. He is inspired to do something. That's why there is that praise. He gives an example. Tathahi purnahutya sarvantan apnoti iti vachanasya vidyapekshitaya itara karma vidyanarthakya prasangena cha yatharthavadatvam tatha asyapi tathatvameva. Now there is this one vakyam about the Purnahuti. In the fire ritual, the final oblation which is offered, that final oblation is called as Purnahuti. Okay? Then the Brahmins chant this mantra and they will say, because now by offering the Purnahuti, person will get all the desires fulfilled. It is by what all the desires fulfilled? Through Purnahuti. That particular Ahuti called as the final Ahuti is called as the Purnahuti. Okay, the final oblation into the fire is called as Purnahuti. He says that let us only offer the final oblation. Why go through that whole rigmarole of several hours of sitting in front of the fire and smoke and the fire and the person has to undertake so much the fasting of the previous day of this day, and now he is sitting hungry and he has to be very alert, he and his wife, and they are doing the fire ritual. Now